mentioned one of the things you like to do in your off time is watch sports.
Yep.
Which sports?
I love all sports. I'm surprised that I'll even watch golf. I never thought I would golf until I was about 70. I started golf a few years ago, and I'll even watch that. I'm sort of getting into curling. I noticed that's a Western thing, so I'll watch that. But I'm passionate about tennis, and I used to like Andre Agassi. Now I'm in love with Nadal, as a lot of the women are. Tennis, I love hockey. When I lived in Toronto, that's when they had 6 teams in the NHL, and I used to be a Leafs fan, and I even went to the games when the Leafs were good and won the Stanley Cup. Now I'm a Montreal Canadian fan, so I watch hockey all the time. Love the CFL. Oh dear. In the West it's Saskatchewan, and in the East it's Montreal. So, and then I used to be a Quebec Nordique fan in hockey, and then when they moved to Colorado, I became a Colorado Avalanche fan. So, and I like basically all sports, I must admit. Love to watch them and love to play them too.
Any other hobbies? Or?
Running. I've done a couple of marathons years ago, so running is a real passion for me. I started that when I was in graduate school because it was something I could do on my own, and I didn't need to get up early in the morning to go book a court or anything, so I've probably run now for over 30 years. Racquetball I played years ago, squash, tennis I play. I like to cycle a lot. I had a bad bike accident about 10 years ago, so I've learned very well to wear a bike helmet. Swimming is not a strength. I've always wanted to do a triathlon, but I figured that the triathlon would be over by the time I got out of the water. So one of my goals is to become a better swimmer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you travel much?
Yes, I love to travel.
What's your favorite destination?
My favorite city in the world, interestingly, is Quebec City. Old Quebec, and that's partially being a historian too, but I'm fascinated by old Quebec. When I was in high school, when I mentioned going to that over to Europe when I was a teenager, we were there about 4 weeks, and I enjoyed Germany, large Germany, the Canadian base there, the military base, saw that. Amsterdam, I loved. Our school band played in some spots there. England I love, since I teach British history, I love the castles and that, so I enjoyed there. 1977, my father won a trip to the French Riviera, and my mom couldn't go, and I'm an only child, so he said, "You want to go?" So I jumped at that at the New York Minute, and that was neat because got to go where the Man in the Iron Mask was, and Monte Carlo, and that was fascinating. And probably in the last few years, I've really got into Mexico, both the Pacific and the Caribbean style. So, and that's probably because I teach, the Aztecs and the Incas and those and that. So, I try to get to Mexico probably once a year over our spring break in February.
Anywhere you haven't been that's on your list of must-sees?
I'd like to go to Peru. I'd like to hike the Machu Picchu Trail. I'd love to do that. And at some stage, I'd like to probably get back into France again and take a look at there. I've never been to Scotland. I'd love to go there. And I'd love to see the Northwest Passage, surprisingly, and go through and see where the Franklin expedition was and do that. But as I've aged, I don't like cold, so that may not happen.
Well, here's your total fluff question for this interview. What's your favorite food?
Oh, favorite food is probably, everyone says it's chicken. I don't do much beef at all. Anything with chicken in it, I love, and I like stir fry and vegetables. So,
perfect.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that a possible alternate career for you could have been a historical consultant on the movies. Is there anything else if you weren't a college instructor that you have a fantasy about doing? Or?
I wanted to be a lawyer.
Really?
I did. In fact, in my day, you wouldn't remember this, you're too young. The TV series, there was Perry Mason in those days, and I always wanted to be a great criminal lawyer. I thought, oh, that looks trendy. I still now watch Law and Order all the time, even though I've seen them all. I'm fascinated by the legal profession. And when I was doing my master's degree at UC, I spent a year working for a criminal lawyer at university when the law school was just starting. And he was working on a book on the history of the crime of rape in Canada, and I became fascinated about being a legal historian. And I spent some time sitting in classes in law school and came to the conclusion that maybe law would not be it for me, although now looking back, law would be it. So I ended up going into what they call legal history. So I sort of now look at how societies analyze crime and punishment in the past. But I would have liked to have been a lawyer, a criminal lawyer, and that would be me.
So are you a morning person or a night owl? And does it take many cups of coffee to get you through your day?
I'm a morning person. My alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, even when I'm not teaching. And I usually try to run at 7 o'clock. When I'm teaching, I always have the 8 o'clock classes because I'm a morning person and try to wake myself up and my students. I'm a caffeine addict, and I drink my coffee black. I started drinking coffee when I was in grad school, and I couldn't figure out why I was putting weight on. And it's because I would do like the Tim Hortons double-double nowadays, but I would drink probably a dozen cups of coffee a day. Not only would I be wired, but I'd be fat. So I started then drinking it black, and that's what I do now. So, yeah.
So what's the best part of your job?
I love watching people get excited about something. If one student per day in a class is excited about something we've done, I think it's great. I like to be myself excited. I like to see others excited. I like people to be passionate about what they're doing. And I like meeting the young people. I don't have children myself, and I've always been told that if you haven't had children, and also I'm an only child, so I'm not used to a lot of young people around, sort of thing in a family environment, that you age very quickly. So I think it keeps you young. I like the interaction with the students. I like the interaction with my peer group, and just generally, it's fun. And when it's not fun, it's time to get over the game. So far it's fun.
Have you ever had a student fall asleep in your class?
Yes, I have. No matter what. I've turned up the volume, anything. And I just sort of laugh. My hope is that they don't fall out of the seat and embarrass me and themselves. So, but they nod off. When you've got the 8 o'clock in the morning shift, and if somebody's, worked midnight to 7 and they kindly come into your class at 8 o'clock, I thank them, but say maybe you should go home and get some sleep after a while. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, that should be great, Terry. Thanks.
Does that help?
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, those weren't too tough.
Perfect.
What is your